Hello and welcome back. I'd like to show you a few things about the Maya user interface and how to make your 3D modeling experience a little more enjoyable. So when I'm 3D modeling, I really like to have as much screen space available to view my artwork as possible. So I like to magnify or maximize the screen real estate, especially when I'm working on a laptop. So if you're using a Mac, first of all, you'll probably have this menu bar down at the bottom. This is called the dock, and by default, it's kind of there, visible with all your apps in it. I find that kind of gets in the way. It takes up a little strip of screen real estate that I can use for the things I'm working on. So if you go up to this Apple icon and select System Preferences, you can open your preferences and go to Dock and Menu Bar. This is where you can customize that dock. There's a button here that says automatically hide and show the dock. If you click that, it goes away, and you can then move the Maya window down to use the whole screen. And then as you move your cursor down to the base or the bottom of your screen, then that dock will reappear. It's always there. It's just going to get out of your way when you don't need it. And I like that a lot because I don't want to have my apps all showing all the time. They just take up space. I only want them there when it's time to switch apps. Also, there's this thing called magnification. So you can have those app icons really small if you check that on, and then they'll enlarge as you hover over them. And you can adjust the size of those icons in the dock here with this bar, so you can keep them small if you want. And then magnification, you can magnify them really large or wherever it's comfortable for you. So those are two little things, show and hide the dock, and then magnification. So that's a little thing in the Mac OS user interface that it's good to know about. In Maya itself, you can also maximize your screen space by going full screen. So if you come up to this top bar, if you hover over the green button here, you'll see Enter Full Screen. And that's just going to use up a little more screen space for Maya and get rid of everything else. Now you may feel trapped here, but when you want to get out of that, you just go up again and hover at the top of your screen with the cursor, and that bar will come down, and you can click that green button again to exit full screen. If you look down at the bottom here, we have this, what's called the time slider, and that's for animation. And since we're not going to be animating, we don't really need that there. So we could go to Windows UI elements. You'll see this list here with these boxes checked on. So all those UI elements are on in Maya. Now I can click the top of that drop-down menu to tear it off and keep it open. And if I uncheck these things, then they'll go away. So I'm going to uncheck them all so you can kind of see what those are. So when they're all unchecked, I have a very minimal user interface. All I see is my main commands in this bar, and then some commands that are just for this viewport. If I turn on the status line, I will see these icons reappear up here. If I turn on the shelf, I see these icons reappear, and we'll talk about these user interface elements in a minute. If I turn on the time slider, I get that animation timing bar down here. So that helps keep track of where your keyframes are for animating. The range slider helps you move along the full length of your animated time sequence. The command line is really for coding, and it looks like that's floated out of the interface here, so we can nest that back in. When it lights up blue there, that means it's ready to nest. They call it Mel script. It's a way of scripting in Maya using code commands. So I'm going to actually uncheck the command line and just get rid of it. Help line can be useful if you turn that on. That gives you a little bar here where you can hover over things, and it'll display tips and tools and things that are selected to give you more information. So I would leave that on because that can help you learning Maya. But since we're not going to be animating, we can go ahead and uncheck the time slider and the range slider and have those go away. So this gives me a little bit more screen real estate here. If I turn the toolbox on, then this bar over to the left will open. This is some of your basic tools for selecting and moving and rotating and scaling objects. So I want to leave that on. I'm going to need that. This is basically all the tools I need to have showing in order to model in texture. But you see also here we have an option to hide all the UI elements and to show all the UI elements, and then restore UI elements will return you to where you were here with this configuration. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. Remember, we can get to that again if we need to by Windows, UI elements. Now, something that's new in Maya that is convenient is the workspace. If you look to the upper right corner here, they have some default configurations for the different ways that we use the software. So if you look at workspace, there's general, and there's a little star or asterisk there that shows that we've modified it from the standard or what it was. So if I want to restore the current workspace, I can reset current workspace, and it'll go back to its default layout. So the general workspace looks like this.